Yo, thank you so much for coming on the show and having this conversation with Van. You know, your story's amazing. You have so much to offer the world. You've been through a lot. You know, your test is now your testimony. You have purpose. You have hope. You have dream. You have aspiration. And somebody depends on you, so you can't give up. So, again, thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with Van.
Let's have a conversation with Ben. Sit down and talk to me. Sit back and talk to me. Let's have a conversation with Ben. Sit down and talk to me. Sit back and talk to me. Yeah. Conversation with Ben.
What's up, everybody? I am Van Swan, and you are watching Conversation with Van. On today's episode, I get to talk to somebody who was a singer.
Still have your picture in the frame. Yeah. How I wish that you would call to say, do I ever cross your mind?
He's a songwriter.
I can't live, no, can't live without, I can't breathe without you. Oh no, I just can't move without you. Oh, see, I can't live without you. Can't live without you. Can't breathe without you.
He's a pastor. He has so many great and wonderful things. And I'm so glad that he came back to the show to have another conversation with Van. I want you to do me a favor. Put your hands together and give it up for my boy, DeJaye. What's going on, man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Yes,
Yeah.
2021.
We
We
made
up
it.
in here. We up in here.
We made it. We made it. We made it. I'm so glad that you came back, man. And you know, you were on the one of the few artists that came on the first Conversation of Van season 1 last year during quarantine time. You know, I had to have you come back because you have a lot of things going on that I know that a lot of people will be interested in hearing what that is. But before I even get started, I want to just kind of give them a backstory of who you are. If they was hiding under a rock and haven't heard of you or didn't get to watch the Conversation of Van episode last time, you're from Ohio. You've been in California for over 20 years, been in the music industry and music ministry for 30 years. You were a choir director at Wilberforce, 100 voice choir, that is, you know. You have a couple of projects out. The first one was The Gospel According to the Soul. The second one was And the Good News Is. Then you have some new music that's coming out. We can't forget about Experience, of course, that EP that came out, I believe, in 2019.
Somebody said we don't sing about going to heaven no more. Drop it.
What's going on? What's new? Tell me what you have in the works now, because I know you just released a new single that is super, super dope called You Are. Let's talk about that. Let's just jump right in. Tell me about that single. What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me back. Yes, I did just release a new single. Actually on a collaboration project with the Rugged and Bunny Official Biz group. They have a compilation CD out of me and many other artists, and it's really a dope CD. And I'm the only gospel artist on that CD, so I was a little intimidated at first about being a part of it, but they're such great people, and they wanted me to be a part, and I was honored to do it. So yeah, just released that single and excited about it, seeing where it's gonna go, and getting ready for the upcoming album.
Let's talk about the album. It's been over 7 years or even more so since your last official album. I believe that came out in what,
Yes, been
2000?
about 13 years, 14 years. It was 2007 was
Wow.
the last time I released a full album. Um, so yeah,
Why is it
kind of
taking so long?
intimidating. You know, the industry has changed so much. The sound has changed so much. What took me so long? I guess I just have to say life, been living life, the ups and downs, the turnarounds, all of that that goes with living life, still been doing music, in the church and all that, but uh and then getting the choir off the ground and just kind of was I didn't really know which direction I was gonna look at doing, focusing on, but I think now I know.
So, what do you think the sound or the direction is going to be for this project? If I remember correctly, the last project had a very urban sound.
Only God can give you the kind of love you need. You can't get no love. You can't get no love. Living your life in sin. Tell me when will it end? You keep on
It even had a lot of 70s vibe to it.
just keep rolling through life. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, 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 yeah. Stop trying to escape, stop trying.
So, what is going to be the sound and what's the inspiration behind this project?
Man, if I be honest, I'll tell you, I don't even know right now. It's about to be all over the place, though. I really think it's going to be all over the place. It's probably going to have, some CCM sound, some R&B sound, some praise and worship stuff. It's probably going to be all over the place by the time I get through with it.
Are you writing this project? Do you have any collaborations? How far along are you with this project? Is
I'm
there even a
definitely going
release
to have
date?
some I'm definitely gonna have some collaborations and stuff on it. Um, but yeah, writing, doing a lot of writing. Um, and the release date was slated for my birthday. As some may know, or you may know, um, this is the year of jubilee for me. 71 to 21. So y'all do the math, and so I was slated to release it around that time, but the both of the producers uh, contracted COVID, and it slowed the process down a little bit. But that's okay. We still on track to get it done.
50 years old. This is gonna a big year for you. You said that your plans were to release an album, which is still, hopefully that's the plan. That's you're on track to do that. But man, we're talking about 50, so you're entering into a new chapter, a new a new world, I guess, for perhaps. Tell me what that experience is like, and what is your expectation for 50?
I heard it said this way. Somebody was talking about a football game, sports, and they were saying, we at halftime now. You did the first quarter, you did the second quarter, and now we finna glide on into this third quarter. So we at halftime now. So we gotta make it count. Whatever happens in these last two halves, we gotta make it count. So it's definitely an exciting time. Uh um I don't want to say that it's unclear, but it's very clear. Man, after 2020, the Lord gave us clear vision in 2020, and now we in 2021, and so um, I'm definitely seeing a clearer road. However, I don't know what's over the hill, if you know what I mean. So I'm just excited to be here, to be able to be, to even have to start a second part of my life. So many people didn't make it, but I did. So I'm excited to see what's getting ready to go down. Um, you asked what's next. Definitely intensifying the ministry. Um, have known for quite some time that the calling of pastor was on my life, and as much as I'm not gonna say I ran from it. I knew it, but it's just something I didn't really want to pastor Africans, because they are a lot like Israelites, and and I don't want to just put that on African Americans. Other cultures can be like Israelites as well. And the whole thing about Israelites, they were stubborn people, and they complained, they murmured, they did all of that. And so church people have a tendency to have an Israelite calling on their life. And so I just didn't know if I really wanted to deal with all that. But hey, you know, I'm par for the course, man.
Yeah. I see on Wednesdays you do teach and preach on Facebook, word, worship, and warfare. Right? Did I say correctly?
Yes,
Yeah, on
yes, yes.
Wednesday. It's something that is very, very powerful. It has a different insight on
Thank
different
you.
perspectives on the traditional teaching of the gospel. Of course, it's all biblically based, but it's just giving
Thank
people a
you.
different perspective of what we've been taught. So tell me, what was the inspiration behind that, and how was that going? What is the response has been for that? Let's talk about it.
Let me tell you, when I was in college, I encountered a class who was taught by uh, a man who became my spiritual father, but it was called a Studies in Religions class. And what it was like an overview, but yet he found a way to break it down to, we studied all different types of religions, and we studied Christianity and its origins, and Islam and its origins, and Hinduism and all of that. And that sparked something in me then, as I began to learn how the African American church was birthed in America. Even as Africans being brought over from Africa and being placed in America, and how we were pretty much forced to accept the Christianity faith, and which now today has a lot of people, a lot of Black people saying that Christianity is the white man's religion. But as I studied the origins of it, it really isn't. And if you know anything about Christianity and the geographical locations of where all of that stuff happened, the birth of Christ and all of that stuff happened. That stuff happened in the Middle East, over in Africa. You know what I'm saying? And so when you find out those types of things, that became my spark to be like, okay, there's a lot of myths and misinformed. We are very misinformed about Christianity and its origins, and so that sparked me to be like, I'm going to be the one who dispels all of those myths and bring the truth about Christianity, and help us as a people of color, Black people, help us to understand it more. And I think when we understand it more and we understand it better, then we have a stronger belief system behind it, And so that was the major spark about, doing word worship and warfare Wednesdays. And then also, that was birthed during the pandemic. And what I got out of that was, that this, the scripture says that we are to go into all the world teaching and preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Well, we know that social media it allows us to be everywhere without ever having to board a plane, or spend any money, really. And so, the Lord was just like, you need to get on social media, and you need to make your ministry global. And so at that point, I was just like, okay, we're going to do it.
If you've been taught a certain thing, and for the majority of your life, or however long you've been a part of something, and now someone else is giving you a different perspective, yet it's still in the word, but a different perspective of how to dissect that. How has the response been? Because I could imagine that you have some people that are maybe not as welcome and receptive to what you are offering. but I could be wrong. Tell me what has been your experience so far.
You know what? Thus far, I have to say the response has been very positive. I can't believe it because I'm saying, some crazy stuff. And what I mean by crazy, I mean, it's definitely against the grain of what we have been taught, all of our lives. And so, as God is unfolding this new revelation to me, I'm giving it out. And surprisingly enough, people are gravitating towards, they're receiving it. And my prayer is that, you know not only do we see it and receive it, but that we actually put some roots, let it allow it to take root in our heart, and we actually start operating out of that new way instead of the old way, we start operating into the informed way instead of out of the misinformed way.
What were some of the lessons that you took away from 2020 that perhaps you were bringing into 2021?
Man, it has been like a spiritual lighter. Like somebody has just lit a fire up under me, took a lighter and just burnt me, and you know how, what you do when you get burnt? You jump, you move, you say, ouch, you move forward, you move away from that thing, And I tell you what, for me personally, I feel like I just been on a rampage, man, because I understand that, uh, like I said, I'm at halftime and I got two more quarters. And in these two quarters, I plan to infect and affect every life that I can with the prosperity, with the gospel, with the love of Jesus Christ.
I want to talk about something that perhaps a lot of people, maybe perhaps when they're interviewing you, wouldn't ask you about, but I'm definitely curious about. You have been a mentor to a lot of different people, and not only just a mentor, but you also been a father, or are a father to four wonderful kids. But you went into a situation that you were a father overnight. You married someone who had three kids, and I mentioned this because my stepfather, my dad, man, he raised me from the age of 5 until I'm grown, and is still in my life until he married my mom in a wonderful picture. But he loves me with no conditions, as if I was his own. I've always had that vibe. I always had that feel. So when I have friends and I have other people around me who I see are great fathers or doing different things of that nature, taking care of their responsibility, whether they're biologically theirs or not, I definitely say hats off to you for that, or hats off to them
Thank you.
for doing that. Definitely, for sure, because as people, as fathers, especially Black fathers, we get this negative stigma that we're not around, or we're not in the picture, or that we don't do what we're supposed to do. But to have a father, or to have a person, or have a gentleman, a man, take on the responsibility that they're rightfully so theirs, or but to also take on other responsibilities, like maybe perhaps being a stepfather, or being a mentor, or being different things. Tell me about your experience with that, because I think it's commendable, definitely, to take on that responsibility. But tell me about your experience, and how was that, and if there's any kind of words of encouragement or advice that you can give to single fathers or to stepfathers who are coming into situations where someone may, or stepmothers, or whoever. I just want to hear your insight on
And as it relates to, married my ex-wife, she had kids, and she had three children. And, I never saw myself as a stepfather. Let me tell you something, even as a young man, 23 years old, I knew that when I married her children. I knew that. And so there was no question about what my role and my responsibility was in their life. Whether their biological father was current, present, or not. Uh, I knew what my role and my responsibility was the day I said I do to her. So yes, it was add water and stir, boom, you daddy. And I knew that it was my responsibility to have, be gainfully employed because they were going to need things. And they needed, I just needed to do what I needed to do to make sure that they had a good life. Because I'd say this, if you a grown person and you get into a relationship with a person with kids, you ought to know going in that you're going to have a role and responsibility in the lives of those children. Don't think that you just marrying the woman or the man of your dreams or whatever. No, you marry, it's a whole package deal. And I don't understand dudes or females who get into relationships with people with children and don't understand. And I think you need to be mature and adult about it. If the biological is in their life, I think you need to sit down, meet with the biological, say, hey, okay, I understand, you know, we just need to work out our roles, understand what the limitations are because they may have some limitations, as far as discipline with their children and all of that. I think that needs to be discussed, and then you go ahead and function in your role because those kids, let me tell you something, when those kids grow up, they're going to have memories of how you treated them. You know what I'm saying? And those are things that can never be erased, never be erased. So you got to understand, even though they're children and you think they don't see much, you think they don't understand much, well, the day of understanding is increasing as they grow. And I'm telling you what, you're going to produce some grown people into the world. Little people are going to become grown people into the world, and you're going to have an effect on how they move and operate in other relationships. I think you need to be cognizant of that before you jump into relationships with people with children.
Let's talk about your fashion sense, man. You have a really dope, incredible sense of fashion. Tell me some of your inspiration behind it, and
Oh my
like
God.
who are some of the people you look up to, or do you have any kind of fashion role models or
Oh my
mentors or
God.
somebody that you know what I'm saying? Let's talk about it.
I don't know if I have any really, known fashion role models. Let me just say, I come from a very fashion conscientious family. And so, if I can say anything about my role models, it would be my family, my mom and her sisters and my cousins, my male cousins. We family wide, we just some dressican Africans. That's just what we do. You will be talked about gravely if you don't come up. If you're not on the right side, on the fashion game, you're not on top. So, you know, I don't have any really known fashion role models. Of course, I look at social media now, and I take ideas from there. But I just, I look at that and then I try to make it me, man.
Now, do you see yourself maybe in the future going into fashion as far as like coming out with your own line or being a fashion consultant or something like that? Because I'm definitely believe that there's a lot of people who look up to your fashion, me being one of them. So I would definitely, if you put out something that
Really
was
being
like
kind to me.
what would you call it, tutorial or some kind of course of like even just how to put something together, I think that would really be dope.
I watch a lot of stuff. I watch the trends as they change, and fashion and home interior design. And so I I try to make sure that I'm always on top of that. But the thing about it is, you just can't copy what you see. Because fashion is fashion, but style is style. And style is something where you can see something, get an inspiration, but come and recreate it, and then you put it on, and then there's a way that you have to carry yourself when you wearing it, so that you wear the clothes and the clothes don't wear you. See, people don't know that. you can see somebody else in something and it'll be dope, and then you come and put it on, and you don't even recognize that 50% of what they was wearing was their attitude in it.
So I'm gonna play a little game with you. A little
Oh,
game,
okay.
quick little game. So
Okay.
you see that on during quarantine they came out with this nice little verses. Have you seen verses?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, dope. So I want to play just a little game. So basically, who do you prefer? I'm gonna name two artists, and you tell me who you prefer. All right?
Oh boy.
G5. All right, here we go. First one is the Clark sisters or the Pace sisters.
The Clarks. I love the Pay sisters though, but I prefer the Clarks.
All right, Kim Burrell or Karen Clark Sheard.
Ooh, ooh. Well, man, I love Kim because she's a musician and she does some stuff. But Karen, when Karen opened her mouth, I feel the oil. I feel the oil drips. The oil drips. So I got to go with Karen because
All
Karen can
right.
do all of that stuff too.
The late great Whitney or Mariah Carey?
Hands down, Whitney, the late great.
All right. Anita Baker or Sade?
Ah, you know, Anita is my chick. What's Anita? I love Sade too, though. I love her.
All right. This is probably a typical thing, not a typical, but a predictable question. But what about Brandy or Monica?
Well, I mean, I'm a Christian, so I got to go with the vocal Bible, you know.
All right. Jasmine Sullivan or Brandy?
Okay, now you playing dirty. You ain't have to do that. You didn't have to do all of that because now I'm on the fence. I'm straddling the fence. I'm lukewarm. I'm neither hot or cold.
Come on, you gotta come on. They both some vocal Bibles. Low key,
Man, let me
Jasmine's
tell
probably King
you.
James version though. But they
I
both
mean, Jasmine, this latest stuff, she been all, yeah, everything she put out is dope. But this last stuff, I'm sitting up here holding my face together. I'm just like, oh my God, what are you doing? I, I don't got an answer for you on that one.
come on,
Sorry.
you gotta pick. Come on, you gotta
I
pick.
don't got no answer.
Come on. We have to pick. We have to pick somebody.
Uh, okay. Uh, Brandy Sullivan.
Tell the people what's next and where can they find your music if they wanted to book you or something like that, please.
IG, of course, at Hey DJ. And then there's Clubhouse on there as well. YouTube, type in DJ, DeJaye. I got to say that. It's not just D and J, but DeJaye. And I'm on there as well. Got a lot of stuff going on this year. A lot of stuff.
Thank you again for coming on to the show. Thank you
Thank you
for
so much for having me again. I really am
absolutely.
honored. I'm just, let me say this before we go. I applaud all of the many things that you're doing. You got your fashion line. This latest album is fire.
Thank you.
This show, Conversation with Van. Thank you for helping the elderly and bringing us on and giving us the spotlight. I just appreciate you.
No, thank you for sure. But listen, everybody remember, let nothing or nobody stop you from reaching your maximum potential. You are great. So go and be great. All right? Peace.
Worthy to be praised. Let's go. Oh, shall I